Bill Murray just played their biggest ever headline show, and it also happened to be the first time they've ever played a headline show in London. I was there last night. I'm slightly hungover today, but not so hungover that I can't recap the experience of that gig. I was so excited. One of my absolute favorite bands on the planet finally playing London as a headline show. Couldn't wait to see what kind of songs they'd pull out from that and be in a room full of fans all there for Bill Murray. I just was so freaking excited. Before I get into their live set, there was also a support band. This was last night at the Kentish Town Form in London. The opening band was a band called South Arcade. I had a quick listen to them on the way in. I quite liked it. By the way in, I mean during the day, earlier on. I was like walking in the venue listening. I enjoyed what I heard of their music. Catchy. I like the song structures. It was well put together. Lovely full sound. Energetic. The only thing that was a question in my mind was all of the vocals have quite strong use of autotune on them for a particular aesthetic effect. I'm not really into that aesthetic sound. And I was kind of assuming live, they're probably, if this is their sound, they're probably going to have that kind of level of live autotune on their vocals. And they did. And it was all right. The performance I thought was great. It's kind of bare bones. Just a bunch of people on stage just rocking some tunes. Did a good job of that. Had a bit of energy to them. Lots of good interaction with the crowd. Upbeat, pop punk, poppity rock. I'm so about the vibe. I really, really enjoyed it. I do think it's a little bit of a shame. I mean, this is their sound they've gone for. So, like, it is what they want to do. But I think when you add that much auto-tune sound on the top of the vocals, you take some of the humanity out of it and some of the punch of the consonants just don't have the same, I don't know, effect for me. There's a little bit of humanity gone from there, which I think is a bit of a shame, because otherwise I think I would have really enjoyed it. The songs are great, energy's wonderful, the visual performance was fantastic, it was a very tight set, they were self-deprecating, you know, but very professional. I thought they did a great job. I just not quite into the auto-tuney sound, you know. And this is to say, I'm a fan of Bill Murray, and he uses that kind of sound, but pretty sparingly for particular moments, not the entire way through. But that's a personal preference thing. Some people are gonna love that, and you know what? They did a good job. South Arcade, pretty decent. But I was there mainly, of course, to see the awesome Bill Murray. And to just witness what would undoubtedly be a night where every single hog was cranked in that building. There was a hoodie on sale that just said hog cranker on it. Pretty sure. Yeah, pretty sure I saw one of those. I thought about it, didn't get it, but I thought about it. I got a hat instead. Anyway, so excited to see this band. And it did not disappoint. The sound was fantastic. Shout out to whoever's doing the sound engineering for them. I thought it was a great balance overall. Perhaps maybe the guitar could have been slightly louder if I'm really nitpicking, but the vocals shone over the top, which is a really key ingredient. Saxophone could always be heard whenever that was involved. And Xavier on the drums. Drums sounded fantastic, in part because he's a phenomenal drummer, so he can make any kid sing, really. But sound overall was good. The lighting setup was similar to the O2 Arena performance they had. Lots of multicolored lights, like it's a sort of house party, which I kind of enjoyed. Although Xavier was largely in the dark in the background. The lighting didn't really help him be much of a presence visually on stage. It was a bit of a shame, but these are very, very small nitpicking points. Overall, it was a completely joyful experience from start to finish. What's great as well is because they didn't do the longest headline set in the world. I think it was probably around an hour, but their songs are so short, 2 to 3 minutes tops, that we got so many songs packed into that set. There were some jokey moments, there was a bit of banter in between songs here and there, but mostly just cranking through the songs, which was a joy. A bunch of songs off the latest album, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Also, some deeper cuts from previous albums, some Golden Hours bits and pieces. And also a song that I didn't even heard before, from like 3 or 4 albums ago, I think it was. So that was cool. Everything sounded great live. They're so pro at this stage. This was the last gig of this particular tour they were doing across the UK, and some I think in Europe as well. And it was so polished, but not in an inhuman sort of way where it was a little bit too rehearsed. Not at all. Everything that needed to be polished and on point was. Everything else felt loose and almost improvised in terms of what they were doing on stage and how they were interacting, which was fantastic to see and enjoy. And the big moment that I was really looking forward to in Better Hell at the end was the Who in the end of the first chorus, because that live when they supported Sleep Token was huge, because you could hear the sub just booming that out throughout this massive arena. I was really looking forward to hearing it at this gig, because it's a room full of Bill Murray fans, their largest audience of a headline show yet, all of them shouting Who at the same time. I could barely even hear the music or the sub hit at the same time, because it was just crowd noise. This whole motherfucking room. And then you can hear at the end, there's sort of like giggling and tittering from the crowd as everyone goes, oh, fuck, that was loud. That was such a cool moment to enjoy. And plenty of moments where the crowd was singing along really loudly, not like in my ears, people next to me. You could hear the band perfectly over the top of them, but the crowd is part of it. It felt like a total celebration of all of these fantastic songs and this brilliant, joyous band called Bill Murray in front of us. Johnny Frank is just an absolute force to be reckoned with when he's on stage. Like a quarterback in charge of the football team that is the audience, just like demanding the right participation along the way. It was phenomenal to witness and enjoy being a part of that. And Gabby's saxophone playing was obviously phenomenal. Her vocals are incredible, just as they were at the O2. Wonderful performances from her. And then Reese was godlike on the guitars. The complexity of some of the parts he is performing is pretty savage, but it sounded great. And there's so many moments where he would have to go to the front, but on his own, I'm sure he enjoyed it, to perform his bits and pieces when they were the highlights of the songs. And he absolutely nailed everything. The whole thing was exactly what you would hope it to be. And I was so grateful to have had the opportunity to be at the front in the photo pit to get the footage that I have for this review. Just being there so close to them performing the music that I love was a mind-blowing experience. And yeah, I'm sure I had just a goofy smile on my face the entire time. It was amazing. It was an amazing thing. I was just conscious that, like, if this is such a rare moment, they're never going to play this venue again, this size again. That was a sold-out gig. Their next gig will be bigger. And so you're going to end up being a little bit further and further away from these musicians that you enjoy. That's why it's important, when you like a band's music, go see them live as soon as you can. Because one day you will never be able to see them in those small venues again. So I think that was probably the sentiment that was felt among the fans in that room, that this was a special kind of occasion that is not going to happen again in this way. And it absolutely delivered on all fronts. I loved the set list. It sounded perfect. The crowd was lovely. Also, the crowd didn't have their phones out for a bunch of it, which is great to see. For most of the set, there, you'd have a couple of phones here and there, but mostly the crowd is there to enjoy and soak up the experience. That's awesome. So good. Obviously, a lot of phones up for the Who bit in Better Hell, but otherwise, no. And it felt real. It felt visceral. And just pure good vibes and energy. So awesome. Also awesome was the number of people who said hello to me in the audience. I think that's the most people who have ever recognized me because of all the Bill Murray content I've done on my channel. And everyone was lovely and wonderful. Thank you for all those little conversations I had during that evening. And if you see me at a gig, do say hi. I'm always happy to have a little chat about music and the rest. So that also made it an amazing experience from my end as well. Just a total celebration of everything that is Bill Murray in the era that they've had thus far. I'm presuming now that they've signed to Columbia, they've released their album last year, maybe they're going to be working on some new songs, and we'll have a new era. And, you know, Johnny has said in some interview, I believe it was, that after the tour they did with Sleep Token, he's been changed forever as a musician as a result of what he's learned from that band. So very intrigued to see what they do next, and perhaps it'll be a sort of new era. Who knows? Who knows what the Hogfather has in store for us, but I'm here for whatever it is. That was a wonderful, wonderful live gig. And I just wish I could replay it again. Just go back and do that. But that's, you know, hopefully that's what these reviews do. They sort of capture a moment, and then years later I can remind myself of this gig by looking back at my thoughts here. Hopefully you enjoyed this recap, whether you were there or you saw a different night of the same tour, or if you're in a different country and you've not been able to see any of these gigs or you couldn't get tickets, hopefully you get some sense of what that experience was like vicariously through this video. Do make sure you subscribe to this channel if you want to see more live reviews like this. I've got gigs coming up. I'm going to some festivals this year, and I'll definitely be recapping those here as well. But thank you for watching this. Do let me know in the comments what gigs you were at, what moments you enjoyed of their live tour if you went to those. I'd love to see other experiences of that particular tour in particular. I've said particular twice. It's time to wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully I'll see you in another video very soon. Also, shout out to a person by the name of Winter who made bracelets and gave me one of them at the gig, and it says Hog Cranker. It's adorable.